Hey guys, welcome back to Slightly Serious.
I'm your lizard warlord, Nick.
I'm Zane. I'm not a lizard that I'm gonna say.
I just rule the lizards.
Just roll the lizards?
I rule them.
Oh, rule them.
Yeah.
That sounds
I'm
like
in
a
charge.
very niche community.
Kind of like Willard, where he like ruled all the mice, or no, the rats, and he just like had rats just devour people. I control the lizard people.
Seems like a very niche mention.
I'm
I
going
don't
to be
know who
attacked now
Willard-
by the lizard people. I'm going to have like a bunch of people at my door like, hey man, don't you
'cause
fucking try to represent our culture.
The Illuminati is not watching us. You're fine.
No, we're fine. We're fine. What you been up to?
Just fucking changing the studio. So
Yeah, we're downstairs.
yeah, we are different
like it.
couch. This one lets us to. If I just hit this, we can
Uh-oh.
take a nap. I'm gonna knock over my table, so I'm gonna stop that real quick.
We were vibrating a little bit.
Yeah,
We're already cuddling, which is nice.
yeah, it's so
You
close.
feel safe?
The safest I've felt in a long time. Actually,
Good.
it's crazy.
You been do anything fun this weekend?
Just I said really. I worked. I did some work for a family when I got home. We'll do some more of that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I just bought some more equipment. We have new lights, new setup.
We do have new lights.
We have new personality.
Yeah, we have a producer in the studio today.
An unpaid intern producer who was told that moments before we hit record.
She was
so-
unaware that she was an unpaid intern until just before we hit
so
record.
You wanna say hi to the peoples?
You can.
Yeah, so I guess I'm producing an unpaid
Yeah.
fact.
Other
Yeah.
fun fact is we're also unpaid. So
Yeah, we
it's
don't
fine.
get paid either, so just so you're aware. But yeah, no, it's good to have you here.
Yeah. So
I'm Lauren, by the way.
Hello.
Yeah,
So,
there's a name for the.
there is a name for
voice
the
without
ethereal
body.
voice that y'all are hearing. Yes. So yeah, we are welcoming her. She can, I don't know, it would be every time she'll be here, but we got her behind the camera to help with some stuff. See how that goes.
Yeah.
But definitely a welcome addition. So see how that goes. She'll monitor all of our stuff behind, look stuff up, kind of frees me up to not be doing it in the middle of our conversations.
Yeah, which is nice.
It is nice. It is nice. And it's also nice to have somebody to probably put us back on track because we will inevitably just go fucking off the rails as we always do.
We do.
We'll start a conversation about lakes and ponds, and then 10 minutes later, I'm Googling lakes and pond
I
facts.
quite often have busy weekends. That's the thing.
Yeah, because you've actually, you go on adventures.
I went on another one. I call them field trips now.
I'm on adventures every week for work. I see a bunch of crazy shit on the road, but I don't go do stuff that I actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
But
I do.
watched 2 car accidents this past week. So that
Two
was
of them.
2 of them. I almost was in one. So that's why I told you when you got here, I'm alive.
You were almost in a car accident. How did this
Yeah.
occur?
Car in front of me cut off another car, and then they hit each other, and they were spinning in front of my semi, and I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna go to not hit one of these people, and they both spun off the road, and I just kind of went between them
While you were driving a semi-truck.
while I was driving a semi. So it was one of those butthole pucker moments, but we didn't kill anybody, and I just kept on moving.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, not the first time it's happened, not the last time that's happened. It will happen, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's bound to happen again.
The larger your vehicle, the more people don't see you. That's what I've learned. I drive a giant semi, and no one knows I'm there somehow. So it's
Wow.
weird.
Wow.
Yeah, if you're watching this and you drive a car, please don't just merge immediately in front of a semi, because we do curse your entire family every time. Just so you know.
I'm probably one of those people you curse at every once in a while. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen you drive, probably.
Yeah, I'm a
We
rat.
definitely didn't race home from PPW many times.
No, never did that. never did that.
There was a couple times because you would go past my exit, so we would both be on the highway all the way down from work. You'd get off first, actually, and then I'd come down further into town. But we would both hit the highway and just be gone at 8 o'clock at night.
Zipping. There was a few people occasionally that would cruise with us too, and we would all just a giant race on the highway.
I did that until the Lamborghini humbled me, and then I just stopped doing it.
It's hard to beat a Lamborghini.
Yeah, and I used
is.
to see him all the time. I always saw him going into work. Never saw him coming out. He was coming back the same time I was, and then I was doing my bullshit. And
What color?
it was all black.
You gotta get a neon green if you're gonna get a Lambo, or bright orange.
No, I got it all black so you can turn the lights off and disappear.
No.
Bright
Well-
orange is too distinctive, you know.
You said you helped out. What else did you do this weekend?
I've just been. I mean, I spent some time with a friend, so that was a good time.
Yeah. Just pretty low key again.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
that's pretty much how it is. Been going through a lot of shit personally that I won't get into too much detail on.
Yeah.
So my mind hasn't exactly been in let's go out and have fun. I did go bowling yesterday. Played one game. I won. So
Against yourself?
no, it was against a toddler and her mother. So definitely not a fair match.
No, I'm sure that. Yeah.
But I haven't.
You didn't
bowled in a
go
while.
easy at all? You didn't go like, hey, I'm playing against
we
a
were-
toddler and
We were doing well, but like it was fine. Like we were helping the toddler figure it out, and then she started throwing tantrums, and she would put the ball down the ramp and then throw the ramp down the lane as well, and we'd have to go get the ramp back
jeez.
because she would push the
Christ,
ball
man.
and then want to chase the ball, so she would just grab the ramp and chase after the ball that she just rolled down it. So we had
That's
to like
wild.
stop the kid from just running down the lane with it and scratching everything.
That's wild.
But
That's absolutely wild.
so it was good, but no, it was a pretty close game until the.
Have you ever thrown a ball and it flips over to the other lane?
Oh yeah, I've done that. I've broken a lane. I've done the ball into the ceiling that you see the videos of on like. Those were my drunk bowling times.
You threw a ball into the ceiling?
I got the, like 6 pound, like the smallest ball that they're there for the kids.
Yeah.
And I just like put one finger in the thing. And I was like, I'm just gonna throw this as hard as I possibly can.
And it got stuck?
And it got stuck on my finger. So like I threw it and it went up and just went smashed into the ceiling.
Oh, I guarantee you those people, they were fucking pissed at you. Did they see it?
Oh yeah, no, they saw it and I was immediately kicked out. I haven't
Yeah.
been back to that bowling alley since.
Yeah, they fucking hate that shit. I used to manage a bowling alley. We fucking hated when people were dicking around like that.
That was also before I was sober. So
Yeah.
those kind of things don't happen anymore.
Dude, I had a crazy trip this weekend.
Crazy trip?
Yeah.
Like a trip or a trip?
Well, kind of both.
Because you did get on our other channel, someone said that you looked like you were having a bad like acid
When
trip.
we consumed the
The hot
pepper or the chip.
So that was I laughed at that comment. They're like, you look
So-
like you're having a bad trip. And I was like, exactly, because he was having a pure-on panic attack.
It was my birthday this fucking weekend, dude. I went all out. I decided I was
Yeah.
gonna leave town and go. Honestly, I was originally just gonna go to the Kurt Vonnegut Museum. That's all I was gonna do. I was like, hey, I'm gonna go with my girl to the Kurt Vonnegut Museum and we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to do. And we ended up going to the Kurt Vonnegut Museum. And I mean, we probably didn't even get there until like 1-ish, 1:45,
Yeah.
almost 2. Got some food, went to the Kurt Vonnegut Museum, hung out there. And from there, dude, the adventure really started because we got out of there and we were like, well, what do we do now? We're in Indianapolis, Indiana.
There's a lot of good stuff to do in Indianapolis.
It's huge. I had no idea how big the city was.
Yeah, I mean, their football team is garbage, but the rest of the town's nice.
Yeah. So then we were like,
Colts fans are going to hate me.
the art museum closes in 1 hour. So do we go? And we're like, yeah, let's just do it. And we get there and it ends up being opening night, like the premiere opening night of Salvador Dali Experience.
Oh, yeah?
And it wasn't just like your typical, you're looking at Salvador Dali paintings. It was like this surrealist interactive environment where basically you are in this giant room and you go from room to room and there's all these different walls and they're all entirely different angles and everything. And the Salvador Dali paintings come on the screen as if, well, they come on all the walls, they come on all the floor, they come everywhere, and it's
Just
like you're
coming everywhere.
it's coming on you.
That's one of
and
those
you're
out of
covered
context moments
you're
for sure.
covered in Salvador Dali. No, and it's just like moving all around you, and it's basically like you're in the painting. It felt like a complete trip. Now, I had already been smoking before I went there. We had mushroom
you do.
gummies that we were eating some mushroom gummies, and it was really, really, really a cool time.
You ever been to Otherworld?
I have not. I've heard about it.
I went there, and there's a couple spots in there where it kind of sounds like similar experience where like the walls and floor are all part of it. I know Otherworld, they have a room where it's like a blank wall, but if
Really?
you touch the wall where you touch, it colors explode out of your hand and stuff, and like you can paint on the wall just by touching it.
Oh, that
And then
sounds
like
cool.
every couple of minutes the wall resets,
Yeah, that sounds
and then
really
the
cool.
floor as you walk around, like colors explode from where you're, because there's like cameras all over and sensors. So wherever people are walking and touching, colors explode and stuff. So you can like draw and paint and do all this. And then every couple minutes, each floor or wall like resets, and then you can blank canvas again.
Really?
But so like it was cool. Otherworld's a place that I think we should definitely go sometime.
Oh, I would.
It's really because it's like it's a giant. Like every room is like its own world, but then there's puzzles in most of the rooms, and then there's clues within rooms that help with other rooms. Like the entire place is pretty much a giant puzzle at the same time.
Is it an escape room type setting?
No, it's just you walk around and enjoy it, but there's also like hidden things that if you complete like little puzzles and stuff, you can find out, and special
maybe
stuff
walk in a
happens. room
you wouldn't have seen unless you figured it out.
So like there's a lot of cool stuff like that, and I know they like add things to it and like change stuff all the time, but it's like pretty big, and it was a cool experience. I went about 2 years ago, I think is when I went. It was a good time. It was just you don't go down, kind of go in. You don't have to have like a time, and there's no like certain path. They just like give you like, okay, you're good to go, and then there's like you can go any direction you want, take whatever path, be there as long as you want. It's just like a really cool thing.
Yeah, that does sound cool.
Some rooms you like walk in just like a door. Other you have to like push through these like giant inflatable cloud things to find the door to the next room. Other ones you got to like crawl underneath and like literally crawl to the next room to get through it, or like into some creature's mouth and you come out like the other side. Like there's all sorts of weird ways in and out of it all.
Ooh,
so
sounds fancy. Yeah, I would love something like that. We were at that Salvador Dali experience, and I mean, it was mind blowing. Oh, she's pulling it up right now.
Yeah, just some pictures and stuff from it. But like all the rooms are like just crazy.
Oh my god, yeah.
And it's just atmospheric the whole time.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Where's this at?
There's one in Columbus. I think there's one in like Philadelphia, are the two I know of. But the one in Columbus is the one that I went to.
Oh, that's wild. So it's not that far from.
It's like 2 hours from here, I think.
Yeah. That's wild.
But yeah.
Yeah, we gotta check that out for sure. But yeah, no, that's where we went. I mean, you think about it, we were only there for an hour and a half max. So we get out of there and we realize we only have 1 hour left before we have to check into the Airbnb that she ended up getting for us.
So that's the best way to go. If you travel, Airbnbs over hotels anytime.
Yeah.
They're so much better. You're more private, and you have more value for your money. That's just what I've learned.
It was unbelievable. She had booked us this like, it's almost as if the whole top floor of the building, like as if there's 3 floors, the whole top one was ours.
Little side note. I know she noticed it on our production computer. I also have like my Steam for when I play games and stuff. I'm on the road, and one of my friends signed in, and they could change the name, and it just said the PP Slapper.
What?
And I just happened to notice
so it popped up on the screen as she was doing the thing.
I noticed it.
God.
I looked to see if she did it. It took her a second.
I was like, "What are they laughing at? Like, what happened?"
I knew you were talking. I knew you didn't notice it, but I just happened to see it, and I was like, "Oh God!" And I looked over, and she just glanced. Back to your story, but I just wanted to explain why we were.
You might see some
laughing.
things on his computer you're not supposed to see.
No, on that computer there's not much, but that's just funny because like you can just.
He watches a lot of midget porn.
Not on that computer. That's the main computer.
Oh, it's sorry.
It can't handle.
You're
This
on
doesn't have the
that
storage
one's
for
okay.
it. Yeah, the 8K videos of that's upstairs.
Oh yeah, okay, all right, we're safe. I shouldn't have disclosed that.
You did last time.
Now
anyways.
she knows where to get it. She's like, oh, all right. So basically, yeah, she had rented this spot out for us, this Airbnb, and it was, I think the place was called like Looking Glass Inn, which already has like the coolest fucking name, the Looking Glass Inn, right? And it's beautiful alone, just walking into the inside. But then we get the whole not even the second floor, the whole 3rd floor to ourselves, because we walk up to the 2nd floor and there's like this door to the side of the staircase as you're going up to the 2nd floor. And then you go up another staircase that would be like almost this attic, but it's fully finished with a full kitchen in there and literally everything you could possibly want, and little nooks and crannies in the windows where they drop down. It's like this little, like, it's called the hideaway room. And it was so fucking cool. So we get there and we're like, all right, let's just kind of throw our stuff in here and decompress. We obviously still want to be out for the night. Mm-hmm. Let's go drinking. Let's call an Uber so that we don't have to worry about driving back, you know? And it's really only like 4 minutes away, the place where we want to go. So we decide to go. And the only reason we knew to go to this place was it's supposed to be a speakeasy. It's a speakeasy, like a hidden bar, hidden somewhere, right?
There's some around here.
Yeah, there's some everywhere, but they're really, really cool. So when you're in a different city and you come to one, you're like, oh, I might as well go check it out. And the reason we were told about it is because when we were at the Kurt Vonnegut Museum, I happened to run into these people that I started talking to about something that ended up knowing what I was talking about in a way. And they were like really relating to me. And then at the very end, they were like, hey, just so you're aware, while you're in town, there's this place you got to go check out.
Is this the one you guys texted me about? What's the place? Is that the... Because y'all texted me about, like, we checked this place out. We talked to the people.
Oh, that's after. That's Paradox Lounge. So that was after we went to the speakeasy. But before we even get to the speakeasy, we're like, we need to go take this Uber. So the Uber drops us off in front of the address that was, even online, says is where the speakeasy is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another business, and there's a bunch of other businesses there, but we don't know which business to walk in because one of them just has a hidden speakeasy in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know which one it is, and neither does she. And so we're kind of like, all right, we're just dropped off in this strange part of Indianapolis, which the Uber driver just told us is like one of the worser areas, you know what I mean? Like of the city. And now we don't know where to go. And so I'm like, all right, let's just like kind of pull over here in front of this theater for a second and just like kind of tuck ourselves under so we're out of the rain and we can kind of figure out, you know, get our bearings and figure out where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're over there, these two guys who are like stumbling drunk, who look like they're either college kids or freshly out of college, are like stumbling over to where we are. And I was like, hey, have you guys heard of this place before? And I already forget what the name of the place was, the name of the speakeasy, but I'm sure I'll think of it in a little bit. Regardless, though, I asked them, I'm like, have you heard of this place? And they're like, oh, of course. And he's like, I'm not even from around here. I know this place. I've been here a couple times. I come to the city every once in a while. He's like, this is my buddy. You know what I mean? And he's from a whole nother state. But yeah, no, we'll show you where it's at. So they start leading us to where it's at. And both Lauren and I are looking at each other like, can we trust these guys a little bit? I'm thinking, yeah, it's fine. And I think she's a little bit more skeptical than I am. And as we're going, these guys are like, wait a second, we're not quite sure. Oh, wait, where's it at? And they're like looking around. The other guy's like, what? You don't even know where it is, bro? And he's like, no, I know where it is. And they're leading us farther and farther away from where we're supposed to even go. Oh, it's called the Commodore.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. It was called the Commodore. Sorry, I just had that. Oh, my God. But yeah, it was called the Commodore. And they're leading us farther and farther away from the Commodore, the speakeasy that we're supposed to go to. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then finally he goes, oh, wait, never mind. It's this way. And he turns us around and he starts to walk us back to exactly where we were. And at this point, I'm thinking either these guys are so fucked up that they actually just forgot where it was at and got turned around, or they were leading us away to come fuck with us. And then they were like, these two are pretty cool. We're not going to fuck with them. Let's just show them where it's at. So regardless, we get to where it's at, and it's still this business that we were originally standing in front of. And so we open the door, and there's a second set of doors. But before you go through the second set of doors, there's like this huge old like set of mailboxes. And we're looking at it like, well, the last one we were at, we had to walk through a bookshelf. Maybe we have to walk through the mailboxes. And she starts to like open up the mailboxes and realizes like, oh, they're not opening. And he's like, no, just go through the other door. And so we're like, oh. So we just open the second door. The mailboxes are just mailboxes. And as we go in, and I would have opened the same thing. I would have thought they were, it looked cooler. So then we're in this big hallway, and there's a bar to our right, and there's some other stuff over here and other businesses, but we're not going into the bar, and we're not going into the other ones. We're walking down an even further hallway where there's bathrooms, and then there's just nothing, and then there's just this empty door that looks like it would be like a janitor's closet. Mm-hmm. And as we're walking up to that door, somebody comes out who happens to know these guys, who, by the way, introduced themselves under two completely different names. And then later on, they were like, actually, we're just David and George and David. And we're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? He's like, we'll just tell you our names. So George and David lead us into this room. This is guys coming out, and they're like, hey, what's in there, bro? And he's like, nothing's in there. Don't worry about it. And he's like, all right. And I'll see ya. And they leave, and they pass. The one guy goes to the restroom. George and David walk us into this place. They hold the door open for us. And as we get in, they leave.
They just
go, all right, bye. See ya. And they walk away. And we're left in this speakeasy. So we order some drinks. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. And we decide we're going to leave. Because another thing the guy mentioned to us was that there's this club, the Paradox Lounge, that just opened up, and it's supposed to be like the only good thing out there. So we're like, all right, the speakeasy is cool, but we've been in a speakeasy. This isn't even the coolest one we've been in. Let's go to that lounge and let's go walk over there. And my girl's like, hey, they don't even open until like 10 or 11. I'm like, well, it's just about opening time, so we can walk over there. And we walk over there, and we're the only ones there. Like, and as we're walking in, like, the guy's checking our IDs. He's looking at our IDs. He's like, yeah, where's your thing on this? Like, where's your birth date on here? And we're like, it's Ohio driver's license. It's kind of holographic. You got to kind of, he looks at it. He's like, okay. And he's like, we find out later there's a dress code. We're like completely underdressed as it is, you know. I'm like in a hoodie and fucking these type of pants. And, you know, she looks cute as fuck. She's in like jeans and, you know, whatever shirt she typically wears, but like, or some sort of sweater or something. Like, she just looks cute, but like, we're underdressed. Like, people come in there in suits and stuff, you know what I mean? And like, so we're the only ones in there, and we're underdressed. And it's basically, from what we're seeing, we're the only white people in there.
Nice.
Which is fine.
That's how you know it's the best place.
Like, it's a black club. Like, it's just kind of like already what it's kind of tailored to, or like the clientele. We're the only white people in there. And it's like, all right, fine. So, but we're chilling.
They're the best vibes, though.
It was so fucking vibey. Dude, the music was on point. Like, it was super vibey. And the drinks were fire. Fire. At one point, we order these drinks, and they're fucking blowtorching them on top of us. They put these things on top, and they're smoking them. It was called a tea smoke.
Yeah.
And it's getting smoky on the inside. They put like rosemary on top. They smoked the rosemary. Like, I mean, it was unbelievable.
There was a couple places in Columbus that were like more like black community like hang out there, and I went to a couple of them when I was down in Columbus. Like, this
so cool.
They have the best music, the best vibes, and they are just the coolest.
Way vibier than any club I would go to out by me anytime. So this is why I want to hype this place up. But it's called the Paradox Lounge. And as we're sitting there, Zane, we're ordering these drinks that are already fucking fabulous looking. Like, they look amazing. But then one of the guys who we find out is like one of the head chefs there. He goes, hey, my girl starts to walk over to this area she's not supposed to go to. And they kind of, two guys start to stand in front of her, and they're like, where are you going? She's like, oh, I was just wanted to check this area out. And like, this is a fucking club, okay? Like, you can't just walk wherever you want. Like, you know,
VIP
like,
areas.
I don't know. I really don't know her experience with clubs. Like, but my experience with clubs is like, you can't just go where you want to go. You can't. You just cannot. You're told where to go, and then you fucking stay there.
Know your place, trash.
You fucking stay where they tell you to go. So, no, she leaves the bar and starts to go check out this area and walk somewhere else. And they're like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I was just, and he's like, look, we have famous people coming here. Like, this is where Shaq comes. This is where, you know, we've got famous rappers that come in here. I mean, they had like all kind, he showed us pictures later. But anyway, he's like, so this is the VIP section. And she's like, oh, okay. And then the other guy's like, just show him. And he's like, yeah, he nods his head. He's like, all right, just show him up. Just go show him up there, man. So starts to lead us up there. And as we get up there, there's just this woman sitting in this huge, like, there's all these different seats and all these different things. And she's right in the center in like this queen bee chair, smoking a hookah, looking boss as fuck. Probably one of the owners of the place, I would imagine, or the owner's wife or something of that sort. But she's important. And she's sitting up there and she's smoking hookah by herself and everything. And he starts to tell us how, you know, this is where they hold the, you know, this is the DJ booth up here. And this is where they, you know, hold, you can smoke hookah, and special VIPs would come up here and everything like that. That's a VIP lounge. So he's talking to us about how he's like the head chef of the thing, and you know, he makes a lot of the food himself. And anyway, we're led downstairs. We get our drinks. We realize we can smoke hookah. We ask for hookah, which we find out later does not have tobacco in it, and real quality hookah should have tobacco in it. So that was one of the major downsides of the place, was that their tobacco, well, there was none. It was tobacco-free hookah. So you can smoke hookah, but it's tobacco-free. We didn't try any of the food. The drinks were top-notch
I think
quality.
that's because technically smoking tobacco indoors isn't allowed anymore.
No, it is.
I
In a
thought-
hookah lounge, depending on... It is legal. They have hookah. They provide hookah that is tobacco-free. Let's just put it at that. There's just certain legalities and stuff like that. But with the bar that they have, that would be fine. Regardless, the drinks were amazing. The hookah was not. The music was amazing. The vibes were amazing. The setting, the quality, the everything that, our whole surroundings were amazing. The people who took care of us were amazing. My only downside was the hookah. But as we're sitting there and we tell them that we want to then smoke hookah, they tell us that there's only one spot that is unreserved for the night. I think they actually said there was 2 spots that were unreserved to the night, but that we could have this one area right here. And it was just a small little glowing cube table with chair on someone's side, chair on the other. Very comfy situation, but it's just a little small area. We're sitting there smoking hookah, we're grabbing drinks and everything, and I go to talk to that guy again, and I'm like, hey, man, just so you're aware, I have like a show and a podcast that I do with my buddy Zane, and I was just checking this place out, and I have no problem mentioning to you mentioning to everybody else, like, what this place is, Paradox Lounge. Like, let people know where it's at. It's in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's super fucking amazing. And just let them know my experience there, especially since you've only been here for a year. And he's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're sitting there for a little bit longer, and we're having drinks, and we're smoking our hookah, and we're having a good time. And, my girl and I are kind of debating about whether or not we want to dip and go do something else, or whether we'll stay for the vibes for a little bit. Because again, we're at this point, there's maybe like 10 people in there, and we're 11 and 12, so it's like there's not that many people here. And then the manager, this guy, well, I didn't even know it was the manager at the time, but he starts to walk up, and apparently the other guy must have said something to him, because then he walks up to me and he shakes my hand, and he introduces himself as the manager and tells me how long they've been there and everything. And I talked to him a little bit more, and then I ended up getting his number, and I was like, hey, I'll give you guys a mention. I'll give you guys a shout out. Just let people know. So our whole vibe changed. I mean, everything changed from that point forward. I mean, not only did like the one woman come back and start to like refill our hookah and stuff, but our drinks seemed to get stronger, and everything just seemed to be going way smoother from that point forward, which just goes to show like what kind of service they would even have given to someone who would show up there, like Shaq or any sort of. You can tell that's like a prestigious spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds awesome though.
Definitely. And then we left.
I may be going to Indianapolis sometime this summer.
Then you should check it out.
Trying to see because my job allows us to have a chance to get 4 tickets to Indianapolis Speedway.
Ooh.
Like
really?
Race experience, pit row. Because like our company sponsors a NASCAR team.
Your company sponsors NASCAR?
But yeah, our company has a sponsored NASCAR team. So every year we have chances to like get a 4-pack of tickets and do all that kind of stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's a cool thing. I'm trying to like reach in to figure out about it, because they have like a special weekend they do. It's like a company appreciation night.
That's right. We did last episode. I think you talked about something about NASCAR, and I was like, oh, it's so loud. Like, it's just unbelievably loud.
So I may have the chance to do that. NASCAR is not something like I watch, but I think it'd be a cool experience to go, because like I like racing, I like cars and like that kind of stuff, but it's just like the sit and watch a NASCAR race is just like my ADHD self can't like.
I mean, it's hard enough to watch on TV for me.
Yeah, that's what
but like, then you're just sitting there in front of it, and you can't even see it as well as you can see it on TV. You're like just seeing one corner.
Like, that's why I think this experience though, because like there's like pit passes. So like you're down with like the pit crew and like the whole crew that like helps with the cars and fixes the cars.
Are you on the racetrack then?
Yeah, down with it. Like during a race, like they pull off to get their tires changed and stuff.
So you're like in the center area.
Yeah, that's the pit row.
And then you can see everything because you can turn you're watching it.
Yeah, but there's also monitors and stuff down there. It's the crew that actually like changes the tires and all that stuff.
So you get to hang out with them?
That's part of like the experience thing. So I'm trying to get
that'd be dope.
A hold of some of those. And then I think
that's the way to go.
That'd be one of those like weekends. And so I'm just trying to plan a bunch of stuff for this summer, just because like how my schedule is. I have to like plan stuff more in advance. I'm trying to do Grand Canyon this year, so I'm working on planning that. Lauren, can you look up the Grand Canyon Experience? I think is what the place is called. Yeah, right there. The Grand Canyon Experience, and it's like a place. Is it called
Grand Canyon activities?
No, this is in Arizona. It's at the Grand Canyon.
Oh, it couldn't be in Indianapolis.
I'm trying to remember the name of the. Hold on. No, it's look up Grand Canyon domes.
Dummies, yeah. Domes.
So like
Ooh.
yeah, Clear Sky Resorts. That's the name of the one. But like if you post, like click on like the picture to the left. Yeah, like one of those. Hit that. So they have these, and they're out in the like they're close to the Grand Canyon, but they have the personal domes. They have like a ceiling to it that you can like look out of. Yeah, so like those. Well, I'll put some pictures and stuff up for everyone else to see here. Top center, like click on that top center, says Clear Sky Resorts, Grand Canyon, up in the top center. Not the pictures, but the. No, that's. Go back to right there. X out of there. Here, let me just take control for a second. Right here. So Clear Sky Resorts, it's a place that I want to book, but they have these domes, which they should have their gallery in here. But they're like personal domes. Some of them have a bed that is like above the ground, like kind of like suspended. If I can find pictures, which also I'll get pictures up on screen for everybody as well. But they're like suspended above the ground. So like there's like the apartment below you, and then it's like this.
Oh.
So like there's like the little apartment below, which is the whole
Wow.
wall here, which said like you're just looking across the desert. It's a great view. Then your bed's here, and there's a window above the bed as well.
It's like a nest.
So you literally like sleep under the stars kind of a deal.
Oh, yeah.
But like at night, like the sky can get super clear because there's no big cities nearby.
Holy fucking
So there's not
shit.
light pollution. So there's like stuff like that where you're just.
Dude, I would kill to be in some.
And then like they have like a
that.
little bar area,
What?
like common one that has a giant wall with like telescopes and stuff you can use. But like yeah, there's literally a viewing thing at the top above the beds. They're all
wow.
private little rented rooms, but it's right by the Grand Canyon. It's like a 20-minute drive or something to the actual canyon itself.
Oh, that's too cool.
So like that's what place I'm thinking about trying to get to this year. Probably from like my birthday, I'm just thinking about going there. But that's like one of the plans.
Who would you go with?
That's the only question, like whether I'd do it alone or if I'd try to like, book it. It's just it's a like, I'm just not sure if there's anybody I could at this point could go with that like I think would like for like that kind of an experience.
Yeah, that's kind of a romantic experience.
Yeah, and it's definitely something.
Unless you went by yourself.
As I said, it's either going to be by myself because I haven't been to the Grand Canyon since I was like real little because I used to live on like the West Coast.
It seems like it could be a very spiritual self experience, or you would
Yeah.
go and it would be like a romantic.
Because like I want to do that. I want to do the hikes like into the canyon, like go down into the canyon and stuff. I don't know if I want to do the whole like ride on the back of a donkey and risk my life with that animal, like have my life in its hands.
Donkeys are the most trustworthy of the creatures I've heard.
Of the creatures,
Of
the octopus?
the creatures? No, octopi are sexy. Remember, the octopus is the sexiest of the creatures. The donkey is supposed to be the most trustworthy. Now, remember, think about Shrek. Who the fuck would want to be Shrek's best friend, right? Before you look at him, you're like, oh my God.
yeah, but he's also freaky.
Right?
They're fucking dragons. They might try to fuck me.
But that donkey stuck by him the whole way, sucked him off halfway through the trip at least twice, that's a buddy.
I think you got the wrong Shrek movie downloaded.
No, it's Backdoor Shrek 2. I know what I'm watching. What one did you see?
I can't.
Are we watching different movies?
I was not ready for the title. I wasn't. I was not ready for the fucking title.
That's what it was.
On the spot. Oh,
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Backdoor Shrek 2.
Well, that's
which
the
means
one
which ensues that there was a first
I didn't see the
Backdoor
first
Shrek.
one. I thought the first one wasn't. I don't know. That's how I was introduced. And I thought, oh man, to
the
have a
first one
friend
you
like that.
watched was Backdoor Shrek 2.
Yeah.
God. Now we gotta find Backdoor Shrek 1.
I don't know if it's the same title. You know, sometimes they switch them up. It'd be like Afro Horrors 6, Backdoor Shrek 2. Like in
They
the
just start with the second one.
The first one, it's like they could written it. You know, like what was the guy who wrote? It's oh no, what's his name? Star Wars. What's his name?
George Lucas.
George Lucas. It's like a Lucas thing where they like wrote 6 first and then went to 2 and then
It's the
went all the
unknown
way to
trilogy
4.
that people haven't actually gotten to do yet.
Yeah. Revenge of his ass. Like,
Oh, fucking hell.
I don't know.
But
Let's
yeah,
move
that's-
past that.
Again, one of those
I watched
tangents
the
that
wrong
we
movie.
need-
It's not a big deal.
But yeah, so the Grand Canyon's one of the things I want to do. So I thought about that. I do want to return to Puerto Rico at some point.
Okay.
I went a couple years ago. I want to go back.
Never been out of the country myself.
Technically, it's not out of the country.
I guess
Puerto
you're right.
Rico is technically U.S.
Mhm.
territory. You don't need a passport. To
I've
go.
never even been that far.
Yeah, that's the only place I've been. It was only because it doesn't require a passport, and I'm a slacker and haven't got my passport, so I'm stuck to U.S. territory. Fucking fight.
Yeah, these mics do get in your face sometimes.
I'm just so animated. Sometimes I forget and I flail.
Oh, I'm Italian. I want to use my hands more than I should.
Yeah, we're all fucking aware. All right. Again, if you guys haven't seen the other channel Hot Chip video, you watch this motherfucker have a pure on panic attack.
It's pretty intense.
It was pretty intense, but
Yeah.
it was a good time.
It's called No One Asked, and it was a hot chip challenge. And
Yeah,
it was
again,
just a nightmare.
Description will have links to that
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, so that's just the plans for my coming up this year. Outside of attempting to buy a house at some point, but this economy makes that kind of pointless at this point.
Well, at the end of our trip, let me just say this: we ended up where Dave Chappelle lives.
Yeah,
That's why I'm like, this is really a trip because we got out of that.
Chappelle lives in Ohio.
I know, but here's the deal, dude. We got out of the Paradox Lounge and we decided to go back to the hotel. We stayed up, did our thing. End up waking up in the morning. We check out of the hotel. We go get coffee at this fucking vibey ass coffee shop, which again, I forget the name too. And I'll have to figure it out.
Is that where I called you? You guys were at?
Yeah, you did call us while we were at the coffee shop, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really great. It was great coffee. I got a great sandwich. My eggs were green, intentionally. They were
Oh, it's Dr. Seuss.
herb
Nice.
seasoned eggs.
Yeah, the obsession's hitting Dr. Seuss's characters hard. So there you go.
It was so good. But anyway, we left there. We went to this really tiny bookstore that was so tiny that there was 40 people in it, and you could barely move because it was one little tiny room. And then we ended up turning right around. We were like, we're not doing this. Why don't we just head home? So we started to head home, and as we're heading home, I realized that I have this magic wish bean that I made a wish on before my birthday, and then you're supposed to toss it in a stream or a flowing body of water. It has to be a moving body of water when the wish comes true. And it did. It came true. So I was like, hey, on the way home, I want to throw it in a flowing body of water. And before you know it, we're out of Indianapolis and out of Indiana, and I still haven't found any water. I wanted to throw it in, and then we're getting into Ohio, and then I see a sign that says Xenia, and I'm like, hey, let's just pull off here. I bet we could find a stream anyway. And it ends up, I was like, hey, my mom actually just ended up moving to Xenia, I think. I was like, we might as well go see if my mom's in town and stop off here. She finds this stream as we get off the highway. I end up throwing it in the stream, which is off this bridge. And then I call my mom and I'm like, how far away are you? And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, oh, well, where'd you move? In Xenia. I'm in Xenia right now as we were on our way home. I was like, send me your address. Let's see how far away you are. She's like, oh, okay. She ends up being 19 minutes away. I'm like, oh shit, we're definitely stopping to see my mom. It would take me 3 some hours to get there if, normally. So I call her up again. I'm like, hey, you're only 19 minutes away. So we're going to meet you. She's like, all right, I'll be home in 25. So as we're heading to my mom's house, we're passing through this place called Yellow Springs. Yellow Springs, that's right. And we are passing through Yellow Springs and we're seeing all these cool fucking buildings and all these like this really cool little motel and all these little shops that are metaphysical supply stores. And so we call my mom. We're like, have you heard of this place? And she's like, yeah, that's where Dave Chappelle lives. I'm like, you're kidding me. She's like, yeah, no, he's got a store there. It's called Chappelle. And it's this store that he has. But yeah, he lives there. I was like, oh, really? She's like, yeah.
Yeah, Chappelle, good old proud Ohio resident.
So we got something to eat there, and then hung out in
one
this
of the
area.
few that are proud to live in Ohio.
Yeah.
Everyone
I
else
mean,
is like, God damn it, I live in this fucking shithole.
apparently that area he's in is like the most expensive area to live. Like
Yeah.
it is so ritzy, but
It's the farthest you can get away from the 3 shitholes of the state: Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati.
I loved it. It had like everything, man. All these little shops, like especially all the metaphysical stuff I'm into. I mean, it was great.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to do too much. So I've been doing a little bit more on my weekends and stuff. So that's been a good time. I said the bowling yesterday was cool. It wasn't really like expecting to do it, but it was a nice little like breakaway.
Bowling can be fun, especially if it's cosmic.
This wasn't cosmic. It was a Sunday morning.
Just regular Sunday bowling.
Yeah, a little bit of bowling and stuff, and then said kind of keep up with my family. You know, talk to my brother a bit. You know, just kind of trying to connect with the parts of my family I can still.
Yeah.
My sister started her YouTube channel and stuff.
Did
so
she now?
I've been like trying to support her.
What is that called?
It's just her name, and but if anybody like, so she does a lot of. It's more like vloggy content. So she's talking about like how she's going back to school and like a lot of mental health things. I'm talking about like one video was like how I'm getting prepared for school as somebody with like a mental illness and things like that, and like ADHD and like, but she's a very organized person. She used to like literally organize stuff for people for like a job on the side. She's opening her own bookstore, which I can say because she finally announced it herself on her
Wow.
channel, but she's opening her own bookstore.
Where at?
I'm not sure if it's like going to be at one of those like physical locations or something like that yet. I haven't heard like too many of the details, but it's one, I believe like part of like the proceeds are going to like providing books to people that like can't really afford to like go get like a lot of books on their own and stuff like that.
Oh, that's dope.
But I'll get the links and all that stuff, try to put it in the description. But
Cool.
so like, you know, me and her don't talk a whole lot, but I am definitely proud of where she is. She says she's getting ready to go back to college. She did a little stint of college a couple years ago. Wasn't really sure what she wanted to do, so she ended up like, you know, dropping out to kind of figure stuff out, which is part of the reason I never went, because I never knew what I wanted to. I didn't want to waste my time and money going to college for something I didn't want to do. But, you know, she did a college stint, and then she was out. Now she's got to get ready to head back into it. So,
Yeah.
but then I'm just kind of like trying to support her on that stuff. She's much better at video, like making, like her stuff's vibey. Like
Really?
she'll start her vlog with like a couple minutes of like just B-roll of her like making coffee and like chill music, and I'm like, this is like so much more soothing than stuff. And like I think it's cool, and like I'm gonna talk to her a lot about it because I've like thought about doing like a blog channel myself, or a vlog channel where it's just more of like my day-to-day stuff. Because like I do so much stuff on the road, my own hair is at my eyeball and it's driving me crazy. So like I think it'd just be some interesting content I could potentially have just doing that kind of stuff. Like I've been bringing like a tripod and like a light with me and stuff for on the road. So
Really?
yeah, if I like want to like in a hotel room like record something, like I could. But you know, just kind of like do a lot of that, watching a lot of content to get both inspiration and stuff for all of our stuff as well. It's more of what my time's been full of, not full on adventures like you've been going on.
Yeah, I just pretty much just
I
disappear.
I sink into rabbit holes of like internet content. But that's more of what I've been doing.
I finished my book.
The Jasmine prostitute, or
The Jasmine Prostitute. Yeah, it was Jitterbug Perfume.
JP.
Tom Robbins.
See, I had the JP right.
You did have that right.
So are we gonna go into the Nick's book corner or whatever?
Nick's Books Corner. Here we are.
Yeah.
So what's up? Yeah, no, I started a new one. But I'll talk about the other one first.
This is a jitterbug.
Let's start at the beginning and then go to the end. And when we get to the end, we'll stop. So at the beginning,
That's usually what the end is. It's usually when you stop. You don't usually get to the end like now. It's beginning.
it was Jitterbug Perfume by Tom Robbins. And again, I had read like a few other books: Fierce Invalids Home from Hot Climates and Still Life with Woodpecker. And they were all very, very good. This one involved olfactory sense. So it went into the science behind smell, and then it went into the metaphysics behind smell, and then it went into the fact that where they basically said smell could bring people back. Like think about like someone in a coma and like having something that, a scent that might have a memory attached to it, or subconsciously smell can get in through different parts of our brain. And I kind of was running this by Lauren earlier, and Lauren said she knew some stuff about the brain because I was like, hey, look, it also talked about how our brain developed over time and like how it was originally lizard brain and everything was very paranoid and very hostile and aggressive. And then we developed over time to a mammalian brain where it was more animalian, like more animalistic in its nature, still primal in a sense, but there was more to it than that. And then we went to like lotus brain.
1 second. Can you look up music for Alzheimer's like treatment? And then we'll go to that here in a second. Because it just reminded me of this.
No, you're good, man. You're good. But it just went into how like smell and your senses in certain ways can like bring and trigger certain things. And it went into the development of the human brain then. And then it went into the development of perfumes in a way where certain perfumes had different bass notes and were able to hold certain things and bring out certain things. And then they went in to even say how like you could replace soul, like your soul, if you replace that word and you put the word energy in. You know how when people think about energy, how energy is always leaving your body and how you're always projecting energy, and how people who practice like magic can put energy into a stone or put energy into something. It's constantly leaving your body. Well, if you took the concept of soul, our generalized concept of the soul, and you just replace that word with energy, how our soul is constantly leaving our body all the time, and that your soul actually just stops leaving your body when you die. But like this, he was talking to this little girl at one point in the story, and he was like, hey, you almost died. Like, what was your experience? And she's like, all I know is that my soul stopped leaving my body. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, what do you mean? Don't you mean your soul started to leave your body? She's like, no. You have it backwards. She's like, our souls are always leaving our body constantly. It was when I died that my soul stopped leaving my body. And then she went on to explain how like our concept of soul is different. And if you took that, everything you know about the soul away, and you just went with what you know about energy and what people do with energy, and then you replace the word energy with soul, then that's what that was meant. And I was like, oh, that's a cool concept. It's not that you have to like believe it or anything, but that's a wild concept to think that all you did was replace those two words and then went by that thesis and that worked. So it was really, really cool. And I finished it, and I give it like, honestly, you're going to think I'm a hack because the last book I had, I was like, oh, it's a 10 out of 10 because it was so fucking wild. This one honestly is still either a 9.8 or a 10. Unbelievable book. Then I started this. It's another Paulo Coelho book.
So this is the one that I accidentally called the author.
Yeah, you thought it was a woman at first because it was Veronica Decides to Die, and then it said it was based off of his life experiences. It just said based off of the author's life experiences. And so since it was Veronica Decides to Die,
I just went with female.
You thought it was a female. But
definitely canceled because of it.
Paulo Coelho. And this one is called Maktub, and it is a spiritual companion to The Alchemist. My girlfriend actually got this for me for my birthday.
I still think I want to get you to read the 12 Rules of Life.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
I have the book, so I think it's actually the book that's on the shelf next to.
I think you're right.
Her over there.
It's a Thickie McGavin's.
It's a great book. The second one I'm going to get and read here. I'm probably going to start the audio book of it at work this week. But it's a great thing. It's another one of those where, like, it's my experiences. Like, I don't really read physical books. I can't like sit that still long enough to really enjoy one. I like to have the physical copy of any book I listen to, especially like that one where I can actually like go and pull notes from it.
Yeah,
but
you can't do it while you drive.
12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson. If you know who Jordan Peterson is, he's like a psychiatrist, psychologist, one of those two. but he does a lot of like college stuff, and he's done a lot of interviews. He wrote that book. The book was based off of a internet post that he did one time. So he wrote a list of the 12 rules of life. And then he expanded on them and did like an essay for each one of those rules. And that's
And
what
then
that
turned
book
it
is.
into the book. Yeah.
And then he wrote another book called 12 More Rules of Life. And it's like, he titled it like the 12 Rules of Life, the Antidote to Chaos. And it's just like ways to like manage like the chaos around life and stuff. And it's a lot of cool things. And like they're interesting titles to the stuff like that. Like to each rule,
Yeah.
how they're worded. It's like, you know, don't just like be kind to people. It's like, if you see a cat, always like pet a cat when you see one. Or like don't bother a kid that's skateboarding and things like that. Like where it's kind of like an abstract
Oh,
rule.
yeah. That's cool.
But then he like explains what it is.
Yeah.
But
That's really cool.
yeah, Jordan Peterson is 12 rules. 12 rules for life. But yeah, so like that's the book over
look,
there.
Lauren's right on it again.
But yeah, there's that book there. It's a great thing. But yeah, there's the rules. So it's like stand up straight with your shoulders back. Treat yourself like someone that you are responsible for helping. So that talks about like how somebody is more willing to like care for a loved one than they are for themselves.
Set
like,
your house in perfect order before you criticize the world.
Yeah, there's stuff like that where like it's like the it seems pretty straightforward. Like but like the stand up straight with your shoulders back. It's more of a mental thing where like he talks about lobsters is like his reference in the essay. And he talks about like if you see lobsters in the wild, some of them are like really rigid and like spread out, but some are like curled up. And it's actually a mental thing where if a lobster loses a territory fight, they reset their brain and they become more timid and they curl into themselves. And it's a natural thing where like you see somebody who's like hunched over and like balled up as like less of a person almost. Like you see them as lesser, even though they may not be, but it's just they're not as standing up. That's why like you see somebody who's like bigger and like there's broad shoulders, you expect that you feel safer around someone like that naturally than like someone who's
or not
over,
as safe
like,
around someone like
well, yeah,
that.
but they're more of a threatening thing.
No,
They're more of a dominant force. And that's what we're talking about is like if you can start standing up straight, fix your posture, stand up with your shoulders back, then it's like a chemical thing in yourself where you'll start to feel more confident just based off of standing up straighter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it's just like it talks about that. But like when he starts the essay, he's like, why are you talking about lobsters? Like, what the fuck do lobsters have to do with this? But then like to be precise in your speech, like making sure that what you're saying is exactly what you mean and like taking the time to learn to speak properly and things like that, which is something that I've always struggled with. Communication has never really been my strong suit. I spent most of my life just not talking about stuff. And then like pursue what is meaningful, but not what is expedient. So he talks about like, you know, what matters to you and like what are things that actually like are important in life, not just because it's easy and quick, but like what actually means something to you.
Assume that the person you are listening to might know something you don't.
And that's another one. Like
that's the biggest. That's the one that resonates with me.
But it's also like you may not like agree with what that person is saying, but give them a chance to speak because granted, you know, maybe everything they're saying you don't agree with, you may not believe it, but they might also know more information on the topic or more other information on the topic than you do. So it's like I said, it's like don't always assume that you know more than the person you're speaking to.
Yeah,
because I said it may not be, you know, you may not think what they're saying is necessarily correct, but they may say something that's still kind of like, oh, I didn't think of it that way, or I hadn't thought about that. Like it's always something like that. So there's just a lot of things. Like don't let your children do anything that makes you dislike them, which is, he goes into parenting and stuff. And he was like, you know, you're not meant to be your child's friend. You're meant to, you know, form your child into a person that the world will like. And if you let them do things that you don't like them, then what makes you think the world's going to then accept them and like them?
Yeah.
You're supposed to get them socially ready for the world. They're not going to like everything you do, but that's not your job to make them like you. Because if you try to make them like you, they're going to get away with things, and then the world is not going to so much like you. Like them. So like it's just a lot of interesting things. Like I'm not somebody who has kids, so like, but it still like made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of cool stuff like that, and it's just so like I said, that book was it's a cool thing, and he's actually the one that does the audiobook, so he's the one that's reading it. So like it's just cool to hear it from like the author side, and there's like notes like he puts in there too near the end of it where he talks about the book and why he wrote it and why he thought it was important to elaborate on those rules. And
yeah,
things
that's
like
pretty
that.
cool.
But he's really
I'll have
cool.
to read that. I'll check it out. What is that? 300, probably 300 some pages, I would imagine.
Hardcover is 448. 320 is a like digital book, but like 400 and something.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a bad read.
Yep, but so he's got a couple other books and stuff, and lots of like his lectures. He would record them and put them online. So there's a lot of like his lectures and speeches and stuff like that are on like the internet to watch as well. And he does a lot of interviews. He was on the Joe Rogan a couple times and like other like big podcasts like that. But the thing I had her look up, because you talked about like how smell and stuff can bring things up.
Yeah.
So like my stepfather is a psychologist, done a lot of stuff with like he used to do a lot of autism research and things, and worked a lot with like dementia patients and stuff. And my mother worked with him for a while as like a aide, because she's ordained, so she was allowed to like be in the medical stuff, because like it's like a thing with like HIPAA, like if you're not there for a reason, like you can't just be involved with patients. But because she was ordained, she was allowed to like work with patients, and she did a lot of stuff with like, she was working on like a whole thesis thing about music and Alzheimer's, and it's something that's been like a thing for a while. But there's actually videos and stuff of like dementia patients that are like, they haven't talked, they've been non-verbal for years, and they struggle. But then there's like someone will put headphones on them and play music from when they were like a child, and then this person who's been like balled up and like non-communicative will suddenly just start like opening up, and like they like completely become like a window into like their younger self.
Like they're almost younger.
Yeah,
again.
they become animated. They're wanting to dance. They're singing along. And
Yeah,
this is somebody who's
and
been,
that's what that book was about.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
using that smell to keep you younger. So
But
they
it's
would put that
it's a
perfume on
music thing
themselves.
too. It's because it's
yeah.
the memory is attached to more sensory stuff than it is like always just like a thought. Like a smell can bring it. That's why like a smell can remind you of like your grandma's house when you were a kid. If you smell the similar smell later in life. And like music, like I said, it's something that's so ingrained in yourself.
My
like,
first real girlfriend ever wore Britney Spears Fantasy perfume. And I don't care where the fuck I am or what the fuck I'm doing. If I'm walking somewhere, I could be in a store. I've done this before. I've been in like a Walmart and I've smelled it. Started to like turn around, try to figure out where, like, I got to identify the source of this. I got to walk around, you know? And I start to turn a corner and I realize it's like this really old woman, like who's like probably 45 years old, you know, 45, 55 years old, you know what I mean? Who's like not taking care of themselves in the downtown part of Akron, who's like just covered that, used that as a mask to just like cover themselves up, who's all cracked out, you know? Like I was literally downtown in a Walmart one time. And a woman had just like sprayed the perfume all over her cracked out self, you know, to like mask the scent of the fact that she probably just did crack in the bathroom or whatever she was doing. Like just so dirty. And I was like, the smell had attracted me to her until I realized like, and I was like, you know what I mean? So it's like from this point forward, like it's just, it's really fucked with me.
Yeah.
Cause I'm attracted to the scent. And then I like, yeah.
But yeah, so like this is something I've been around. So I spent a lot of time around psychology and stuff. So I always think that like things like that, where like how smell or like music and like a sound can be such a trigger for like memory, and the fact that like I said, like Alzheimer's and dementia patients that have like been nonverbal for years hear music and they all of a sudden like become like they like open back up, and it's such a wild thing that it's like a part of that.
Yeah. I had heard the, you know, therapeutic effect of music for Alzheimer's. I had definitely heard of that before. Like when they were studying it and like, would this possibly happen? I mean, now it's like a real thing. Now they know.
Yeah, and it's like there's places that have like implemented it. Like it's part of like a daily thing for dementia patients, is like they have their time, like interact, like a social time, but then there's time where they just put some headphones on them or just play music in a room with a bunch of like, you know, Alzheimer's patients from like the same generation. They're playing like that old music, and like they just become like more animated.
My great grandmother had the same thing, and in her nursing home where she was at, it wasn't even really a nursing home so much, but it was like an assisted living. They would actually have like certain nights where they would play old music for them to like, they would all get together in the same room, and then they would do games with the music to like trigger certain things, and they would like play bingo with it, like if they could guess the song.
Yeah. So I've always
get
thought
so
those kind of
happy
things.
over that.
Yeah, and it's such a cool thing that like something like that can just bring memories back.
It is.
But yeah, man, that's been some pretty deep conversations today. It's been pretty cool. You had a nice, again another adventurous weekend.
Yeah,
Or
I mean, I
week.
had
Yeah.
an adventure for sure, but I like we got into some deeper stuff here. this
How's
time.
the arm going?
Oh, so I mean, my wrist is feeling way better. My arm is not. In fact, I'm still on workers' comp and whatnot, and I have to. They basically said originally I was supposed to do physical therapy, and then I wasn't able to schedule physical therapy until like the 9th of this upcoming month, and so I went to have a follow-up appointment, and they checked me out, and they were like, "We want you to cancel your physical therapy. We're going to send you straight for an MRI now, because like you're even more limited on your movement, and your arm is now swollen, like, and it wasn't swollen before."
It's probably
So-
because you were running around with kids and you can't really just limit what you use it for.
I mean, I have to pick up my 2-year-old. There's just I can't like not
Yeah,
pick her up.
Just kick her around, it'll be fine.
So I try my best, but it's just getting like worse, and it's obviously there's something wrong with it. So we'll find out, but I feel okay.
Just amputate it. You don't need it. It's fine.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Well, it's my left arm, and I am left armed. Left-handed.
armed.
Left
I
arm.
mean, that's
left-handed.
also a disability in itself.
Yeah, if you're left armed.
If you're just
Dude,
left-armed.
I'm left legged too. I don't know what to tell you. It's just
fine.
I'm all left. I'm a lefty all the way.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, brother, it's been good to spend another day with you and going over some shit.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I
And
really am.
having the producer, our unpaid intern
Yes,
producer
our
with us.
Unpaid. Do you have anything you'd like to say to anybody? Anything at all?
Just chilling
Do you-
back there.
Just do you want to
looking up
hang
stuff
out?
for us. Been on
Yeah.
it, so that's been really helpful,
you,
really cool.
How do you feel?
Just trying to figure out the buttons.
Do you still want to
You're the third one.
be a part of our show?
Yeah, so I decided even though I'm not getting paid, I guess I will stick around.
Oh,
look at that.
good.
Hell yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
I've
We
just
could use
kinda
the
been,
assistant.
like,
Tax
writing
write-off for us,
You'll-
too. It's
it'll
great.
get
Fucking
easier
shit
for
up
you.
on
You'll
me.
get better at it too.
Don't
you
worry.
can write it off in
You can
taxes.
write me off. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's a tax
Do
write-off.
interns get a Glock,
Well, we give
Yes.
them a 1911.
or do they all share? They all share. You all share one.
Yeah, just one. So
They
it's
all
whoever gets
share
to
one.
it first.
Interns all share a Glock.
But yeah, man, it's been another good week. You got any adventures planned for the next coming week?
Nothing.
Not yet. You'll
I
probably
have some.
spontaneously
I do
some-
have few things, but I'm not going to disclose them yet.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, brother. Again, another good week.
Another
Appreciate
good
you
week.
being
Say
here.
hello to your mother for me.
As always, and make sure you tell somebody you love them. And again, thank you guys for stopping here. We'll get any of the stuff that we talked over. I'll try to either have a link to it or some video thing on top of the video for you. But again, subscribe if you're on
definitely.
YouTube. Comment down below. All of
Tell
our
us
audio
what you
listeners,
think.
all audio listeners, we thank you. We've been seeing a lot of listeners from all over the country. That's been really cool. So I did again appreciate everybody that's coming back every week and checking us out.
Yeah.
All of our other content, I'll have linked to the other channel and stuff down below. But I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. Tell somebody you love them.
I love you.
We'll see you guys next week.